Hey all, Nathan Bostard here with Real Job LLC. Going to provide you with a quick and dirty rundown of our project Third Age. So in Third Age, it's a competitive card game. There are 5 types of cards: hero cards, action cards, minion cards, gear cards, and then skill cards. All these cards are from the deck list that I posted online a few days ago, big and beefy. This is a summoner deck list built around getting the largest creatures in play. So here we see the hero, Elder Ojue, we see Shaman Feye, we see Scout, Caller of the Herd. And heroes are really central cards to the game. They're the ones that are doing everything, and they're how the player interacts with the game. Then we have action cards. Action cards may be similar to instant sorceries and magic, spell cards, in Yu-Gi-Oh! And provide kind of a one-time effect and then go to the discard pile. Here we see Natural Abundance, add 3 vitality to target summoner minion, and then it's just discarded. Then we see minions. Minions might be called in other card games creatures or monsters or something along this line, but we call them minions. We have the Ursine Mystic and the Int Seedling. Minions come into play, they provide you with some form of benefit. We see Ursine Mystic has an ability that can be used on it. We see Int Seedling has an effect on it. And they can be declared to attack. That's the real benefit of minions. They can block for you as well. They keep you alive. And they go out and they try to kill the opposing hero in attacking. Now, here we have gear cards. If you notice here and here, these gear cards have subtitles: relic, armor, weapon. There are 3 types of gear cards, and those 3 types are relic, armor, and weapon. Relics are cards that come into play. They provide you with some form of effect, and they stick around. That's the benefit. So like minions come into play and they're around for as long as they have vitality. Gear cards stick around for as long as they remain in play, until an opponent discards them, or you are forced to discard them, or your hero is defeated. Here we see the Summoner's Staff. It says weapon, 2-handed. So heroes, like minions, may attack. However, minions can passively attack. Heroes must be taught to attack. So they must possess a card that says Hero Attack here. Now, gear cards give heroes attacks. Some skill cards, not Bellowing Roar here, but some skill cards will give heroes the ability to attack. And if you also notice, it says 2-handed. Now this means heroes are obviously limited by the 2 hands that they have. Well, most heroes, I shouldn't say all, are limited by the 2 hands that they have. And if a weapon card would come into play that forces them to violate the 2 hands worth of gear cards, they then must discard cards in play until they are under the 2-hand limit. And finally, we see the armor gear type. Each hero can only wear 1 piece of armor, so similarly to the 2-hand limit, if another piece of armor would come into play that caused them to violate the 1 armor limit, they must discard armor cards until they're under the 1 armor limit. And most often they will provide the armor keyword and some other effect to the hero. Finally, we have skill cards. Skill cards represent spells, unique abilities, things such as this that your hero learns. They come into play and they stay around in your the row next to your hero where your gear cards are until they're discarded by an opponent, or you discard them due to a card effect or something along these lines. So what do we find on cards that are in play? When I say cards that are in play, I don't mean action cards. Action cards they have some impact on the game, and then they're gone. I mean heroes, I mean minions, I mean gear cards, and I mean skill cards. Well, we find abilities, we find effects, we find keywords, and we find hero attacks. Now, let me start with hero attacks and abilities, since they are the most similar. Here we see the Ursine Mystic. It's a bear. You've seen the tagline. Here we have a geared weapon, two-handed. And the Ursine Mystic has an ability. So, how we read the ability, we have ability name. And anytime we see these dashes, that tells us that it's a descriptor for the previously named thing. I'll elaborate more on that in a little bit. So it says A3EE. How do we read this? The first letter indicates what the previous title was. So it tells us that Abundant Vitality is an ability, and then following that is the cost. So 3EE means it costs 3 vitality to be removed from the minion, and then 2 exhaustion. And you would exhaust the minion twice, and then you receive whatever benefit is described after the cost. Now similarly, we see hero attack dash EE dash 2. So the 2 dashes tells us that this is the cost. So to hero attack with this, you would exhaust the card twice to deal 2 damage. Now, where this is named Imbuing Vitality, this is not. All hero attacks are just called hero attack. Now effects. Effects are passive, and they trigger on cards. So for instance, if Int Seedling is defeated while blocking, add 2 vitality to your hero. Effects do not have costs. They just kind of happen upon other events triggering it, and the event in this case is if Int Seedling is defeated while blocking. And then keywords. Elder's Cloak, we see an example of a keyword here, Armor 1. On these beta cards, we have tried to list all keywords here before effects. So we see Armor 1, and then Bountiful Vitality, an effect coming after it. So, now that we have an idea on the cards, we need to have an idea how the game actually works. So we have our hero, and heroes have on them vitality. We see here 16. That denotes the amount of vitality that a hero has when it comes into play. So to play this game, you're going to want dice, and you're going to want lots of dice. Here we have the 16 vitality on Elder Ojwe. Now, say we want to bring into play our Ursine Mystic here. We see 5E. That means it's costing us 5 vitality and 1 exhaustion to bring it into play. To bring it into play, I would remove 5 vitality from my hero and then pay 1 exhaustion. To pay the exhaustion, you turn your card sideways like this, bring the minion into play, and place the 5 vitality on it. The minion remains in play for as long as it has vitality. Now, your cards may be exhausted, as we see here, EE, beyond more than 1 position of exhaustion. So if I want to activate this ability on Ursine Mystic, we see it says A3EE. Means we need to remove 3 vitality from him, so we drop him to 2, and double exhaustion. To do this, we turn the card once, we turn the card twice, and then we add 5 vitality back to the hero. Those are the 2 payment costs of Third Age, vitality and exhaustion. Now if I want to bring into play, say, the Trinket of Time and Elder's Cloak, we'll look at these 2 cards. We see on Elder's Cloak 2 and E, and on Trinket of Time 1 and V. To bring the Elder's Cloak into play, similarly as we did with Ursine Mystic, we remove 2 vitality from our hero, dropping him to 9, and we exhaust him once, and we bring it into play. Notice that there is no vitality added to the gear card. Gear card does not possess. The gear card is not dependent on vitality to stay in play. Rather, the gear card remains in play as long as the hero remains in play, unless an opponent forces us to discard it, or we discard it due to some card text.